Ash, are you going to admit the people, eh?
Yeah.
How's it, Russell? How's it, Ty?
Yeah, guys, excuse me.
Hi, Louis.
Everybody. Hemi? How's it, Hemi?
Hello. Change our backgrounds quickly. Ash, you mailed us the backgrounds.
I did this morning. Let me just double check the email. Yep.
Yeah.
I just told them now. Morning, Krista.
Good morning, guys.
How's it? How you, buddy?
Fine, thanks, and you guys?
Good, good, good. Hello, Trace.
Morning, morning.
How's it, Dion?
Hi, everyone.
Hello. David's joined. Ash, I think we're expecting roughly 45 people, so let's just give them a couple of minutes. Morning, David. Morning, Shivs.
Morning.
Still morning. It hasn't turned 12 o'clock yet, so I'm still saying good morning to everyone, yeah? How many people do we have so far, Ash? How are we looking?
We have wait, sorry, 13 so far.
Let's give the guys a couple of minutes. Crack-a-lacking. There's Sagrin. How's it, Sagrin?
Hello, how are you?
Fine, and you, buddy?
Hello.
Sagrin, can you hear us?
Yes, thank you. How are you?
Fine, and you, man?
Good, man.
Good, good. We're just waiting for a couple more people to join, and then we'll get this party started. There's Byron. Byron, my friend. How's it, Byron?
How's it, Louis?
How are you, my brother?
All good, thanks in yourself?
Do I look more clever today with glasses on, eh?
Yeah, and the earphones. I see the headset's working well for you as well.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I generally never wear my glasses. I'm resting my eyes today, so I thought, you know what, I'm doing this bits and bytes thing today. So
Yes.
I think Nash needs to put himself on mute, please. How are we tracking? 25. I think once we hit 30, I think let's get this party started, Ash.
Yeah. We have 33 in the room.
Should we get this party started? Let's wait.
Yeah.
Let's give them 2 minutes. Let's give them one more minute.
To Louis. So it looks like we all.
Cool. Ash, how are we looking? I think we're going to get this party started now.
Yeah.
We're good?
Yeah, we have 36 people.
We have 36 people. Awesome,
Yeah.
guys. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Louis Jardim. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Torito Networks. I just want to welcome you guys to this Bits and Bytes event that we're having this afternoon. And I know everyone's extremely busy, so we very appreciated that you've taken the time to join us this afternoon. The topic that we're going to be covering today in our Bits and Bytes section is called AI-powered Zero Trust with Zscaler. And we have an awesome guest speaker today. We have Ben Little all the way from the UK. I do give Ben gears from time to time when he visits us that South Africa are the World Cup champions, and he doesn't like me saying that, but Ben, welcome. Ben's been with Zscaler for over 2 years, and he has a wealth of security knowledge, and he's going to take us through the journey around AI-powered Zero Trust with Zscaler. So Ben, over to you, and welcome, buddy.
Great. Thanks, Louis, and welcome, and thank you all for joining. And I'm definitely used to all of the stick I'm getting about the rugby. I like to say England can get back at you with the football or the cricket, but neither have been particularly good so far. So great to be here. Great to see you guys. A few familiar faces on the call and a few sort of new faces. So just a quick introduction to me before I jump into the slide deck. I've been at Zscaler now for the best part of 2 years. Living in the UK, but I'm pretty much a second sort of citizen in South Africa, traveling pretty frequently over the last 2 years. So I'm in South Africa every 4 to 6 weeks. Next back, looking to be around the start of September. So hopefully we can take some of these virtual conversations today and actually put a physical face to the name with an in-person meeting very, very soon. But as Louis mentioned today, we'll really be focusing on Zscaler, who we are, our products, and I'll also show you a bit of a product overview from our portals, what they look like, so you can get a little bit of a feeling and a look for what the portals look like. But with that, what I'll do is I'll share my screen, and if someone can just give me just a little nod or a little thumbs up when it's all sharing correctly, it should sort of start showing as a mini PowerPoint presentation.
Ben, you're golden. I can see it.
Perfect. Well, let's jump into it. So I'll just slowly flick through these. The first slide today is really just sharing who Zscaler is. So I appreciate some of you may know who we are. Some of you may not have heard of us before. Some of you may have even used us before. But really, Zscaler is a cloud-based cybersecurity platform with a very simple and obvious mission, which is to secure, simplify, and transform businesses in all aspects. So typically when organizations think of a cybersecurity platform, they think of this solution that can come in, secure one element of what I'm looking to achieve on the cyber front, and then that's sort of it. Whereas when Zscaler comes in now, being around for the best part of 15 years or so, we've helped organizations all across the world, organizations from 10 to 20 users, all the way up to some of the world's largest organizations with 100,000, 200,000 users, go on this mission to make them a more secure, make them a more efficient, but also make them a more future-proof organization. As mentioned, we've been around now for the best part of 14, 15 years. We're a US-based company, and we started predominantly in the US, slowly came back over into Europe, and then over the last 8 to 10 years, have really began growing our customers and growing our footprint within Africa, not only from a customer standpoint, but also from an employee standpoint. I believe at present we've now got about 5 or 6 employees specifically living in South Africa, ranging from colleagues such as similar to myself, all the way to our technical support and some executives also living that way. Globally, we have about 8,000 customers. We've been a market leader within the space now for pretty much the entirety of our formation as an organization. And really the reason for that, and the reason why year on year we see such incredible growth, is because of the positive experiences our customers have. Not only are we making them more secure, but also we're taking them on this journey of actually becoming more cost efficient as well. So typically, if some of you have heard of Zscaler before, people sometimes assume Zscaler, being a market leader, is going to be a really expensive product. But one of the key tasks we take, and one of the key tasks we go through with the guys here at Terito, is really understanding what actually does your whole infrastructure look like. And instead of Zscaler just coming on and being another point on top, where can we actually integrate, and where can we actually work with you to see, okay, is there elements that we can not only look to replace and evolve, but actually is there additional business benefits from the cost reduction standpoint as well? And what you can see on this sort of top right hand side here is just a few customers that specifically Zscaler and Terito are working on. This is only a handful of them. We've been working together now for, Louis, you'll know, I guess, longer than I will, but for a number of years now. And we've seen, in particular, over the last 2 years, since I joined, some really, really fantastic success.
Well, absolutely, Ben. Like if you look over the last 2 years, famous brands, 1,200 users, and we've had the Edward Styles, the Cape Gates, the Hellemans. Over the last 2 years, specifically after COVID, we've definitely seen a big requirement in terms of clients looking to bolster their security stack, utilizing Zscaler. Spot on.
Yeah, absolutely. And given that Zscaler is a fully cloud-based security solution, that adaptability and that scalability to changes in the market, whether that's COVID, when that came in, that was of course a massive change, but also things such as the increasing cyber risk profile that is out there at the moment, with the introduction of things such as AI now becoming a bit more of a threat in the cyberspace. Given that we're fully cloud-based and given that we have such an extensive customer base globally, we're proactively already taking measures 2, 3, 4, 5 years ahead before they hit. And that's something that we'll continue to dive into in this presentation, and you'll see a lot of with future releases from Zscaler coming out in the next few weeks. As mentioned, we have about 8,000 customers globally, and these really here are some of our larger scale customers. So you can see the likes of Siemens, Unilever. You can also see the likes of MCNC, some of the federal and government agencies in the US as well. But as mentioned before, we really focus on companies of all scales and all sizes. So organizations that I particularly look after sit between the 50 user all the way to the 2,500 user space. And I'm one member of a wider team that specifically focus on what we call our mid-market accounts across Africa. One also point you can see here is Zscaler is really not vertically aligned. We have all organizations from all different walks of life utilizing Zscaler, and that just goes to show that it isn't a solution that only works for some organizations or only works in specific verticals. This really can be applied completely across the board, no matter where the users are based, where the applications are, which applications you've got, but also the security policies that you're looking to place as well. Within Zscaler, the primary selection of products sit within our user profile or our user space. And these are the full integrated or comprehensive solutions that we really deliver to the majority of our customers worldwide. The top two here, Zscaler Internet Access and Zscaler Private Access, are really our two most utilized solutions across our customer base, with around 80% of all of our customers using Zscaler Internet Access, and then about 70 to 75% also using Zscaler Private Access as well. The Zscaler Internet Access product is all about the user to internet connectivity, securing that access based upon the policies and the user profiles that you've set up and arranged. So topics such as cyber protection, secure web gateway, URL filtering, malware protection, but also one topic that is becoming more and more prevalent in my conversations daily is around data protection and CASB. So within Zscaler Internet Access, of course, we have our data protection solutions, but of course there are many additions on top, such as specific endpoint protection that we can apply to give you that higher level of data protection as well. On the top right hand side, we have our Zscaler private access solution, and this typically is what we phrase as the VPN replacement. That user to private application connection without the need for a VPN. Also in this, it is all about giving your organization that ability to not only give access to your core employees, but also give access to other parties that may require securing access to those applications, whether they are third parties, whether they are contractors, auditors, the list goes on. How can we ensure that they are firstly having a secure connection to the applications that matter most to your organization, but also that they are only viewing those applications that they need to view. Then at the bottom here, there are two additional areas. The bottom left here is our Zscaler Digital Experience solution, and this is all about giving you as an organization full visibility of not only your users, but also what's happening on the application and also the location level. So to give you an example, if you've got users that are based not only across South Africa, but more globally, and you want to understand, okay, well, how are my employees in Europe faring versus my employees in South Africa when it comes to actually connectivity? Are there any issues that we should be aware of? Or are there any IT tickets that are constantly being raised about connection to certain applications from a certain location? You can dive into this platform and you get full visibility of everything that's going on within a matter of minutes, rather than having to scrape through a number of different solutions to try and find out. Zscaler is giving you that overarching view. And then on the bottom right here, we have our workload protection piece, and this really covers three main areas. So we're talking around application segmentation, pieces around cloud misconfigurations as well, but also branch connectivity and SD-WAN. So we've recently released our own SD-WAN product. Over the last sort of 8 to 10 months, it's been a product that has been growing and developing, and I can say next year, our financial year actually starts next month. So when I say next year, it's actually next month. We're making the product much more feasible and usable for organizations for the mid-market space, so between 50 to 2,500 users. All of these products here can be purchased together, can be purchased individually. The way Zscaler works is once you've got that core architecture in place, our core zero trust architecture, you can then add on products as you go along. So really, it's a solution that we can tweak and scale and scope based upon your core use cases and what you're looking to achieve as an organization. And this is the architecture I was just talking about. So within Zscaler, we are an agent-based architecture whereby on every user's endpoint, there is an agent that looks very similar to this. And based upon the products that you have the different levels on this left-hand side. It is this agent here that establishes a connection into the Zscaler Zero Trust Exchange. And within South Africa, we have 3 data centers where that exchange happens, 2 in Johannesburg and 1 in Cape Town. And within our Zero Trust Exchange, you're going through these 4 steps you can see here in the blue. We first understand, okay, who is the user? Are they full-time, part-time, contractor, third-party employee, or are they someone that we don't recognize? Then we understand, where are they looking to go? Are they looking to go to an application they should have access to? Are they trying to access something we know they shouldn't have access to, or are they looking to access an application where we require an additional level of approval to allow them to access? We then understand, okay, well, what is a risk? And this is where we take in a number of different parameters, specifically around that contextual part. So we understand things such as the device risk and then a posture, the user behavior. Are they accessing applications that usually access, or are they trying to do something that isn't normal of their user behavior? But this is also where, and we'll touch on this further later, we'll really leverage our integrations with other technologies within your security stack. So if you've got solutions from the endpoint side, on the cloud side, on the SD-WAN side, or even on the sort of SIEM side as well, Zscaler will integrate with all of those, and we'll be taking in and pushing out data and information to really inform our decision. So for example, if you've got an endpoint solution in place and they're picking up that maybe the endpoint is compromised, even though Zscaler might not be picking that up, because of that information we're getting in from the other solution, we can actually block the session before it even happens as well. Once these steps have taken place.
Ben,
Sorry,
Ashley's got a
Ben.
question.
Is it possible to hide that where it says your
Yes,
teams are sharing? Yes,
Yeah.
please. Thank you.
No worries. So once we've gone through all of these steps here, we then understand, okay, do we enforce or do we block the session from happening? Now, within this stack here, this happens every time a session occurs. So whether that's multiple sessions during the day or multiple sessions during an hour, every time a user is accessing either a new application or starting a new session, this zero trust perspective and zero trust view of Zscaler is happening every time. So where we differ from some of the other solutions in the market, where they may do this once, twice a day, or the first time you log in, Zscaler is enforcing this upon every session, which really gives that ability to fully implement and fully enforce zero trust across the board. Do we want to open up for questions now, or should we just hold them all to the end? Appreciate with quite a bit of information going out there, but happy to sort of take your
I
view,
think,
Louis.
Ben, let's show the guys the portal and that, because I think once we show the portal, they'll be able to get a visual in terms of that. And then I think let's open it to a Q&A.
Sure. I'll firstly show the internet access solution, then I'll jump into the portal to show this. This is really what a topology of our Zscaler internet access solution looks like. So as you can see on the left-hand side, it is all about where the user is connecting from. It could be remote, could be the office, could be branches, or could even be a public location. They connect up via our Zero Trust Exchange and go through that architecture that I showed on the last slide, before then connecting out to their end destination. And this is all about blocking the bad and really protecting the good at level of access. Now, given Zscaler Internet Access and Zscaler as a whole is an agent-based solution, this security is following the user no matter where they are. So as IT admins and IT teams, that peace of mind, that knowing that when a user is in the head office and then when they go home in the evening, or whether they are then connecting from a public place or a branch location, knowing that that security policy and that security posture is the same and is following them no matter where they are, gives you that peace of mind that firstly, you know what they can and cannot access no matter where they are. But secondly, and most importantly, you know they're secure. One of the biggest pain points I hear pretty frequently is that when they're in the office, it's fine. We have solutions in place. However, when they're working from home or when they're working in a public place, they can access either everything or they can't access anything at all. The two other use cases we have here is cyber threat protection and also the data protection piece. Now, these are two of the biggest use cases, we also see how can we protect our data and how can we obviously protect our users against the cyber threat piece. So protection against, as you can see there, ransomware, malware, phishing, zero-day attacks is something that naturally comes in with our internet access solution. And then finally, we have a very strong integration with Office 365. So the majority of users that we speak to, of course, leverage Office 365. How can we work closely with you and them to give you the most effective and efficient experience through a number of different programs? So we've got our networking program, we've got our data center peering, but also we've got our one-click configuration as well. Then finally on this slide, the business value we can really generate here, you can start to see some of the solutions we can help to retire. This isn't necessarily saying we need to retire every single one of them. We work with you to understand what is important to keep, what might you be looking to retire. But all of these aspects here are already included within our Zscaler Internet Access solution. And then moving on to the private access side, again, this is our VPN replacement solution. You can start to see on the left-hand side that topology of things, again, taking that same routing into the Zero Trust Exchange, going through those policy and authentication checks before allowing the access out to the privately hosted applications, whether they are cloud-based or whether they're in your public data center. We spoke previously around this being a main use case of a VPN replacement. But other things to note as well is this multi-cloud access. So if you've got solutions or applications in different clouds, or likewise you've got them on premise in your data center, it's a very easy connectivity to make to secure access to those applications. But also if you're looking to move more of these applications from on-premise over to the cloud, we can support you with that. We have dedicated cloud migration teams at Zscaler, as well as the guys at Torito that can help support with that migration as well. Then finally, as we mentioned before, that third-party access. How can we give your contractors or third parties access to key applications without the need for a separate VPN? And also giving them the access that is only relevant to them as an organization. Great example, in my previous life, I was an accountant, I was an auditor, and I would go into so many businesses where they would pretty much give you access to absolutely everything. Now, I'm sure some people would leverage that and view and look at information they shouldn't look at. However, nowadays, especially with that ability of VPNs being able to be very easily breached, giving a third party full access via a solution that can be easily breached can pretty much expose a lot of areas that you really don't want to be exposed. And that is from a bit of research we've been doing recently, breaching of the VPNs is one of, if not the main way organizations are being breached at the moment. So we can completely negate that. Finally, from a business value perspective, you can start to see some of the solutions we can begin to replace or retire. Again, we're not saying you need to completely replace all of these. We work with you to understand actually what do you want to potentially replace, what do you want to keep, and really help you build that best of breed security stack. One final piece on this is that this, again, solution follows the user no matter where they're accessing from. So me being at home today, accessing private applications will be the same as tomorrow when I'm in the office and as next week when I'm working remotely. So again, that security follows the user. From a dashboard perspective, this is really what you'll start to see. Now, this is one of our demo environments, but it should just give you a bit of a feel for what you should expect should you go on to test or potentially even deploy Zscaler in the future, to give you a feel for what you'll likely see. When you log in, you'll start to see some overarching reports. Again, you can tweak these to what's most important to you. But you can start to see some of the granularity you're getting, not only from an application and end destination standpoint, but also from a user standpoint as well. One area that we've massively developed over the last 2 years is this analytics page. So you can start to see all these different insights and reports. And I'm happy to go into these deeper in a future session with all of you. But again, you can start to see all the different reports that we have out of the box. You can also begin to create your own as well. One report I always like to highlight is this quarterly business review report. This is a report that is built within Zscaler, and you can simply download every quarter and gives you all of the visibility and all of the reporting pieces from what Zscaler has essentially done for the business over the last 3 months. Whether that's from threats that we've blocked, whether that's from users, whether that's from applications, you're getting a full overview that you can then share around the business, and we highly encourage sharing this to potential execs that are always keen to see what the solution is doing. It gives them that high-level snapshot of what Zscaler is providing. We then have the policy creation piece, and this is where you'll build out all of your policies. And these policies can be built as broadly based around the entire organization. They can be narrowed down to a team level, and they can even be narrowed down to a specific user level as well. And then you have other pieces on the left-hand side from the administration side, as well as the activation side. Now, when you build in policies and you want to activate them, these can be immediately set in place. You'll simply get a little notification in the activation side. You'll then simply go activate, and then that policy will be enforced across the board. With the private access solution, again, it's a very similar build where you've got the main sort of dashboards on the left-hand side. And then the difference here is at the top, you get an overarching view of what we deem as, I guess, the most important areas within private access. Again, you're getting that visibility on applications and getting, an overview of the recently accessed applications. But you're also getting that deeper dive into the users. So if you click into a user here, you'll start to see all the applications they've recently accessed and get that full visibility of what they've been doing and when. The main difference that we see with Zscaler and other solutions, Zscaler logs every activity the user does. So both on private access and on internet access. Whereas some solutions almost do like a time stamping. And a lot can happen within a minute or 2 minutes, where other solutions timestamp. So Zscaler gives you that full visibility natively within our platform. The final piece I wanted to show is actually on the application side. So when you go through deployment, you'll start to deploy app connectors within each of your applications, which will give you the ability for applications to be viewed and looked at. So you can start to see all the applications that may be down or may not be currently up and running. You can see them that are currently up and running, but you can also see the health of them as well. So if there's any issues or any queries that are being raised by the applications or by your users, you can quickly log into the private access solution and you can see, okay, this application is down. That's why there's no connectivity there. How can we then take a proactive measure to actually get them back up and running? Similarly, again, you're getting the insights that you saw on the private access side and that level of reporting. And you're also getting the diagnostics and analytics as well. My final piece on the private access side will be around the policies. Now, this is where you will create the policies. And this is where you can specify them again on a wider group level, on a team level, or even on an individual level as well. I'll really end on this slide, just slightly conscious of time here, but this is really how we can integrate with many of your other solutions. So out of the box, I think Zscaler has natively around 60 or 70 technology partners across all sorts of different areas. I've listed a few out here, probably the ones that we see the most around identity management, endpoint, SD-WAN, and also the operations piece. But pretty much as long as the tech vendor is willing to accept an API integration with Zscaler, we can pretty much partner with them to ensure that data is sort of bidirectional and is flowing in and out of Zscaler and also in and out of that technology as well. The final slide we have, and we can keep this up whilst we're going through the Q&A, is just a use case from Capitec. So Capitec now have been using us for a number of years and have really been quite a strong advocate of Zscaler. They've seen fantastic results around actual efficiency, but largely around the security piece and how they have replaced some of their legacy solutions, including a VPN, to becoming more cloud focused, not only from the security side, but also from the application side, to become a lot more secure. Perfect. Louis and team, that's all of the slides I had to share. I'm happy to open up for questions with the last 10, 12 minutes that we've got.
Awesome, Ben. Thank you very much. Yeah, I think the key was obviously the ZIA, the ZPA, and the ZDX. So, Ash, from everyone on the call, can we maybe, if there are any questions, maybe raise your hand and then ask, and then we've got Ben, myself, Ian, and Tyron on the call to answer any questions. Are there any questions that we can ask Ben? Can put it in the chat if you feel uncomfortable asking questions. So what I'll do is I'll get the conversation going. So Ian and Ty, obviously we've done a lot of Zscaler deployments for our clients over the last couple of years, and that, like, what would be the key sort of criteria or key learnings that we did when we started deploying Zscaler to our clients? Hammy, do you want to start off with, like, what are the key things that we should be considering?
So what's very important to note with Zscaler, where your identity is based. So with ZIA and ZPA, a lot of your identity is based around SAML authentication and things like that. So if you're maintaining a directory like Entra, Okta, Jump Cloud, even Google is supported. A lot of it is based around that identity, and it's very important that you keep that in mind when you're deploying where that is based and how you're verifying the user.
Awesome, Hammy. Thank you very much. One of the questions that I get asked a lot, Ben, like, obviously there's a minimum commit in terms of Zscaler. What's the minimum commit that we have from a Zscaler perspective?
Yeah, so the minimum commit from a user standpoint is 50 users. So that's sort of the lowest level we can go to. From a product standpoint, look, you can start with one product, you can start with the full suite. As mentioned, it's something we can work with you to scope out, what's most important right now, but also what are your goals for the next 12, 24, 36 months, and how we can help you support them. A lot of customers that, are maybe new organizations that are looking to bring on, I guess, a best of breed solution that only have 50 users. They start with the 50 users, and then, as they grow as an organization, they add on more users. And the way Zscaler works from a user standpoint is, that sort of license level and the commercial offerings you've got per license there, we can then scale that up, of course, to the end user count that you're looking to get to.
Absolutely. And then, Ben, obviously quite important, like, guys, you can take ZIA, so the internet access, that what will obviously give you policies in terms of what your users can do from a browsing perspective. You can take the ZIA separately, or what we find a lot of our clients are taking the ZIA and the ZPA, the private access, in terms of replacing VPNs. Hammy, I'm going to pick on you again. Like, I know a lot of our clients go, Louis, I've got existing FortiGate clients, VPN clients. Why would I go with ZPA and not keep my FortiGate clients?
So the easiest way I can say it is, connecting to ZPA becomes more of a seamless process for the user one. So it becomes a very easy to use natural connection, right? It's as though you're sitting in the office when you're connecting to your apps, because you're verifying who you are initially when you open up the Zscaler client connector. What you do after that feels as though you're in the office. And then the second point going towards that would be reducing your attack surface. So if you're closing off external access points such as VPNs, you're giving threat actors a lot smaller and less targets to actually access from the outside.
And also, one of the use cases that we had, a client of ours had 1,200 users. One of the biggest concerns that they always had was users resetting their username and passwords, and that caused massive havoc on that. Michael, I have seen your question. I'll get to that now. Tyron, just in terms of the deployments that we've had also, like I know, some clients have certain concerns around Zscaler in terms of speed and that. So we are aware. The great thing for us, since Zscaler has invested heavily in South Africa, is migrating the data centers into South Africa. So back in the day, people would need to authenticate overseas and in Europe. Now that Zscaler have a physical environment in Joburg, there's 2 there that Ben mentioned earlier, and 1 in Cape Town. From a speed perspective, do customers have an impact in terms of speed when they need to authenticate from a Zscaler perspective, Ty?
No, no, Louis, thanks. So the customer's not going to notice any difference to their speed. Just also quickly looping back to something Ben mentioned earlier, he spoke about retiring products. Also for those APN customers out there, Zscaler is a nice replacement for APN as well. So it's also something to take into consideration. If you've got APN, you can replace it with Zscaler.
Correct. And then Ben, Mike's asked, CrowdStrike, is it a competitor? I know we spoke about it briefly before we started the session. How would you avoid last week's chaos on that? So maybe you can give us a heads up. Is CrowdStrike a Zscaler competitor?
Yeah, so CrowdStrike isn't a direct competitor of ours at all. We work as a partner of theirs. So often we'll have clients use CrowdStrike for endpoint, and then they use Zscaler for internet access and private access. I think more broadly, the issue last week with CrowdStrike was, it was probably a bit of a wake-up call for the entire space, that an organization of the size and scale of CrowdStrike, issues can occur. And what I can safely say is it was something where the executive leadership here have really taken on board and have already started to take proactive measures against. I think more broadly also from a disaster recovery standpoint, we've had for a number of years a lot of disaster recovery procedures and policies already put in place. So if anything like that was to happen with Zscaler, there are a lot of steps underneath your regular Zscaler usage that we already have in place to ensure that you're not going to be affected to that level. The number one way of doing that is we have over 150 data centers globally. So even if, for example, and in my 2 years, and I think even beyond, this has never happened, if all of the data centers in South Africa did for some reason go down, you would simply be routed to the next nearest data center to you. So there are a lot of backups and a lot of disaster recovery pieces that we've got in place to essentially ensure that an outage like we saw on Friday is near on impossible happening. So we've got a lot of pieces in place, and they're all publicly accessible if you were to just search online. And I'm sure if anyone's got a particular question, I can find some documentation to share around the disaster recovery piece.
Awesome, Ben. Thank you very much. Guys, we've got 3 minutes left. Any other questions from the customers that we have on the call? Any other questions? Ash, I can't really see, so if anyone raises their hand, raise your hand and we can ask. David, fire away, my friend.
Hey guys, yeah, thanks for taking my questions. I've got loads of questions. Just doing a lot of thinking about these things. I've got a lot of people spread out over West and Central Africa, everyone working remotely. I think my primary concerns are they using the correct devices? Are they using secure connections? Are they using connections that are that have decent link quality? And you've kind of touched on a couple of these things. And at the moment, I'm eyeing Okta very closely as a solution that's got kind of dynamic decision making for allowing them access to certain levels of system access depending on certain conditions. And I see you guys touch on that as well. So I had a few questions around how and the metrics that you use for that, and I don't think there is enough time to answer that now. So I'll probably just be following up with you in the near future. Yeah, I wanted to talk about different authentication methods that you have available, like hardware keys and all those types of things. I'm sure are already on your radar, if not implemented. And yeah, the cost of real-time stats. So you were talking about how your data is very it's not timestamped necessarily, and that type of real-time stat has got a performance and a cost to it as well. Yeah, I know I've touched on a whole lot of points, but those are some of the topics that I was just thinking that I wanted to ask about. There isn't really enough time to talk about them.
But David, I think what we'll do is let's just set up a separate session, and then I think what we can do is we can cover all those questions for you guys on that. And then what we also do is, guys, obviously you can reach out to our relevant account managers and that for more information. Ben does come quite frequently into South Africa. He'll be here in September, so we do want to do face-to-face meetings in that. Let's set them up, and then we can deep dive and get a better understanding of your environment. Obviously, there's a lot of use cases where Zscaler is quite good at, ZIA, ZPA, obviously just sitting around with you guys, getting an understanding where it works and everything like that. So, Ben, thank you very much, my friend. Thanks for entertaining us, giving us all that information. I hope everyone found the content quite valuable in that. Yeah, so have an absolutely awesome Thursday afternoon, and thanks again for joining us. Thanks again, guys. Cheers, Ben.
Great. Thank you, guys.
Cheers, guys. Bye.
Cheers.
Bye.
Cheers, guys.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you. Bye.